Well, Matt, we'll start straight away and talk about the TNA British tour. Them new dates have been announced. It's going to be in London and it's going to be in Birmingham. Some fantastic dates, Manchester as well. Just what are your thoughts, first of all, on the tour and the British fans?
I love British fans. I love coming over to England and performing. And I'll tell you, one of the things I have noticed about the difference between English fans and American fans is, like, in the Northeast area, there are much more intelligent wrestling fans. In the South, they're a little traditional. They're kind of easy to entertain, easy to get along with. The British fans are very, very intelligent fans, but they are also so respectful and so courteous of the wrestling and so appreciative of what we give them. They are just part of the show, and they go along with the entertainment aspect so well. And that's one thing that I greatly appreciate about the British fans. They're smart, but they get it, and they're almost like part of the show. The crowd is like the third man in the ring a lot of times when you're in there wrestling someone.
Obviously, you've done so many British tours. Is it a special feeling?
It is, yeah. And I think the more mature and the older I get as a performer, I appreciate it even more. I love so much about the British culture in general, and it's really grown on me as I've got to know and learn about it over the years. And just whenever I'm there, it's always a great opportunity because these fans seem so appreciative of seeing the Americans come over and perform for them because, you know, they're really gracious. In America, sometimes they get spoiled, and it really is true. They get spoiled because they get the opportunity to see us perform so often. You know, especially with Impact Wrestling, when we go over there once a year for this big tour, the fans are always so excited, and they're just so into the action, and they're just so gracious to us. It's just always our pleasure to be over there and perform in front of those guys.
I've got to ask, more from a selfish point of view, do you think there might be the case of a pay-per-view coming to England?
I think that would be absolutely awesome. I think for Impact Wrestling to do something they've never done before, break new ground, and have a pay-per-view from over in England, that would be absolutely amazing. I think it would come off so incredible. It'd come off so incredible as an event in totality. I really would love for that to happen.
And speaking of you wrestling, obviously at the moment you're not, but you normally do wrestle with your brother Jeff. What's it been like? Because obviously for a time you were a singles performer, now you're back with your brother. It must be a special moment for you.
It truly is, and it's one of those things I really grow to appreciate things as I age. You know, and teaming with Jeff. This last run we've had, every time we've teamed and winning the Impact Wrestling Tag Team titles again, it was truly magical. And you appreciate things a lot more once you can kind of see, like, I can't do this forever, but as long as I can do it and can do it good, we're gonna give it our all, and we're gonna enjoy it and really take in every single moment. So it's been absolutely amazing. And both myself and Jeff, we both have families now. We're both so mature and being vets in the ring. It really is truly special whenever we team up.
I was going to say, at the moment, you're not wrestling with him because he suffered that injury, and you were there when that happened. And just what was your initial thought? Because I've seen the video, you really did sound concerned.
Actually, I wasn't there. I don't know, that somehow, as rumors do get on the internet, there was a rumor that I was there. I wasn't even in the same city whenever that happened. I was away. I was gone on that day. And someone else, one of Jeff's friends, was filming that. But when I got the call from my wife as I was coming back, that, you know, Jeff's wife had called her and said that he'd broken his leg and he was going to the hospital, and I started heading back home that day. I was very shocked. I was concerned. I couldn't believe it. Jeff has never been hurt with a real serious injury in the wrestling business, and of all things, to injure it outright riding on his dirt bike. I mean, it was a little frustrating on my behalf because we were in such a good run with our tag team titles, and it was a little frustrating. But, Jeff truly is a daredevil 24/7, and those are just things that he does in life that he finds fulfilling. So I get that, and I understand it, and I can't hold that against him. And my motto and my mindset is, well, it's just time for him to heal up, and then we'll do it all again and make it even better this next time around.
Now, this has resulted in this Best of 5 series coming around. What are your thoughts on that? Because it really does show what TNA has to offer in the Dirty Hills and the Wolves.
It does. I am a big fan of Bobby Roode and Austin Aries together. I think the Dirty Hills are an amazing tag team. Obviously, there's a huge mutual respect between the Hardys and the Wolves. Those are two of the premier tag teams in the world, no doubt about it. I'm very glad they are property of TNA Wrestling. I love this Best of series. The only thing I can say about it, my only criticism of it, is that I wish the Hardys was in it with them. I think it's great TV, it's great tag team wrestling, and it really shows you how amazing traditional tag team wrestling can be if you have a couple teams that are really good. And I'm really glad that Impact Wrestling puts focus on that division, makes it important. That makes me proud.
Now, as they're currently not in that position, do you believe then that there could be a possible singles run before Jeff gets back?
I do think so. I know I have a few ideas I'd kind of thrown their way. You know, I know it was kind of threw a monkey wrench in everyone's plans because right before the last set of television tapings is when Jeff got injured. So it was kind of chaotic as far as figuring out what to do with me, you know, as a singles wrestler, as an individual. But there's some ideas, and by the time this next television taping comes around, I hope that I can be incorporated into it in a bit of a singles role. And I do enjoy doing that, and I think it's also very beneficial for me. It's good for me because it allows me to continue to build my own, my own persona, my own character. And that's one thing about Jeff and I. We can always come together and we can be great as being the Hardys or the Boys, but we are two very different individuals, and we both know who we are right now. And it's always fun for me to go out and establish myself in my own persona because I am very different from my brother.
I was going to talk about a new addition to the Impact Wrestling roster, and that's Billy Corgan, who's from the Smashing Pumpkins. Have you been able to have a chat with him? What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I have known Billy Corgan for many years. You know, I met him early on when I first started wrestling on a national level. And Billy's always been a huge wrestling fan. He's been a big supporter of just really great wrestling. You know, and he just loves the business. And you can see that passion oozes off of him when he is there at the televisions now. I had some very good conversations with him. I think Billy has a good mind for the wrestling business. It's obvious he's a creative genius if you look at his work with the Smashing Pumpkins and the songs and just all the success they've had. And I certainly think that's going to translate over to wrestling because he's such a huge fan. He understands what it takes to make a professional wrestling product work in 2015. And I think it was just what an amazing score for Impact Wrestling to get him, have him be part of the creative team. And I really look forward to working hand in hand with Billy Corgan going forward. I would love to kind of help shape a singles run of Matt Hardy alongside Billy Corgan. I think he would be fantastic at doing that.
Now, Matt, you have just come back from a tour of AAA, which was this weekend. What were your thoughts on that? How much did you enjoy it?
Oh, my God, it was incredible. It was a busy weekend. But once again, it's always fun for me to wrestle in front of people of different cultures. You know, as I've said before, obviously I always love coming to Britain and working over there. So it's one of my favorite fan bases in the world. Obviously, I love Japan. Mexico's another place I love, and it was great because we got to wrestle some of the Mexican legends. We got to wrestle Rey Mysterio, Alberto El Patron, and the former Sin Cara. And just the dynamic in front of this crowd. There were almost 20,000 people there. You know, it was the first event they'd ever held, the Lucha World Cup. It was such an honor to be there. It was myself and two of my closest friends, Mr. Ken Anderson, obviously of the Impact Wrestling roster, and also Johnny Mundo, who was with Lucha Underground. You know, we got to be a team and got to compete over there in 3 matches, and we did a ton of promotion. It's great how the Mexican fans are so respectful of the professional wrestling product, and that's one thing I really appreciate about those guys. And just to be able to interact there, and we kind of, we had a little bit of that, the take from the Mexican fans on us wrestling their legends. We were kind of like the arrogant Americans, so that made our job a lot of fun that day.
You've been wrestling for a long time now, and just who were your heroes when you were growing up to get into this profession?
The guy who inspired me to truly want to be a professional wrestler, who was like a living, breathing superhero to me, first and foremost, was the Macho Man, Randy Savage. So when I saw him coming out and he was this over-the-top character, he wore all these colorful, amazing robes and wardrobes, and he had the voice, the crazy-sounding promos he would do, and just he would come off the top with a flying elbow drop. He was my guy. I was like, this guy is the coolest guy in the world. This is what I want to do. I want to be a wrestler. And
I know you've got many, but if I was going to ask you now, could you pick out a couple of highlights you've had during your career?
That's always a tough question, and it's almost, I think when people ask you, like, what is your favorite moment in your career or your favorite match in your career, it's almost like your kids. You know, if they ask you, like, well, I know you have 7 or 8 kids, but, which is your favorite one? It's hard to really pinpoint one, but there are many things throughout the years. I mean, obviously the ladder matches and the first one we had against Edge and Christian, and the TLC matches that we had. I'm very proud of those. Those were very business-changing. Just most recently in TNA, when we had the Full Metal Mayhem match against the Wolves and Team 3D, I really thought that stood the test of time, and I thought it ranked right up there with all the old TLCs. I'm so proud of that match. We took a lot of pride in putting that together, and especially us and Team 3D, who are the old vets now. We wanted to really go out there and make this thing stand up and stand the test of time to the old ones, and we're very proud it did. Looking back, my feud and a lot of my matches with MVP, I think it was one of the most different and entertaining programs that had happened in wrestling in a long time at that point. The feud I had with Edge, our cage match where I beat him with the leg drop off the top, having a one-on-one match with Jeff at WrestleMania was a huge moment. A lot of big moments throughout the years, and I'm excited to have some really huge moments coming up in the next few months in Impact Wrestling.
And in Impact Wrestling, I think you'd now be put in the category of a veteran. Who, in terms of the youngsters in TNA, who would you say could be the next up-and-coming star?
There's three guys that really stand out to me. Is having the potential having an unlimited potential, I should say. One is EC3, and it's almost hard to say that he's a guy that has unlimited potential because he's almost there. Ethan Carter III is a guy who's going to be a star and be around the business for a long time to come. One of your own that you'll be proud of, Bram. I think Bram has tremendous potential, and I think he's going to be a big star as time goes on. And then one of my favorite wrestlers, who I think is highly athletic and great in the ring, but also such an amazing character, which is Rockstar Spud. I think he's great, and I think he's going to have a really fruitful relationship with TNA Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, and professional wrestling over the course of the next couple of years. I think there's a lot of potential in him.
And TNA Impact Wrestling, a pay-per-view is coming up. It's the first time in a while that it's happened, Slammiversary. How much do you look forward to pay-per-views?
It's always exciting. Pay-per-view specifically because you have 3 hours and there's no commercials, but live shows are always exciting. And I think not only is it's exciting for the performers, it's exciting for the fans because what is happening. You will see everything. It's like nothing is going to be cut. There's this feeling that anything can happen, and that's one of the amazing things about live television. If something goes wrong or amok or there's something amazing that happens during a television taping, there's a small possibility it might get cut out or it might have a different camera view or whatever whenever it's played back on television later. But a pay-per-view is so exciting because there's a feel for wrestlers and fans that anything can happen, and whatever you do is aired. So that's always exciting for us.
And another addition to Impact Wrestling is Shane Helms. I know someone you're very close friends with. What has he brought to Impact Wrestling?
Yes, I am very happy to have, I would say he's my best friend in life, happy to have him with us at Impact Wrestling. He's been out with an injury, and his body's got a lot of miles on it, as a lot of us guys who have 20-plus years do. But he has such an amazing mind for the business, and he's been there kind of working behind the scenes, helping create ideas for creative and also for the actual in-ring matches and whatnot, and for a lot of the wrestlers giving them ideas about how to tighten up their game as far as a performer, as far as an in-ring wrestler. And he really has been a huge influence, and I think he's done a lot of things to really help shape the product into a much tighter product, especially from an in-the-ring aspect. And I think he has a lot to contribute, and he's a great addition to Impact Wrestling.
And speaking of behind the scenes, do you think that when you do leave the ring, it might be a case that you do take up a creative role, maybe?
I would almost bet on that. I'm not really a betting man, but I would almost bet the farm on that, because it really is true. I love professional wrestling. It's a passion of mine, and as long as I can do it and perform at a level that I feel like I should be performing on, if I'm still in the ring, in this day and age, because you just can't get in the ring and get away with things like you could 20 or 30 years ago. You really have to be able to perform on a high athletic level currently to wrestle in 2015. If I can perform on that level, I'll do it, but I know one day it's going to come where I can't, and I would like to offer my mind and my experience to the younger guys that are up and coming, because I love professional wrestling. I love being around it. I love being involved. It truly is one of my passions in life, and I feel like there's a lot of things I could give back to the younger guys and teach them.
And I know that you've been there and done that. There's rumours going around at the moment regarding Impact Wrestling. In terms of in that locker room, is it a case that you just forget about them and get on with the wrestling?
Yeah, it's one of those things. The internet is an interesting thing. Just like I'd said before, how rumors start and spread around. You know, the website started reporting that I was the one that filmed Jeff's motorcycle crash, which I wasn't even there. Like, you know, I was in a different city doing a promotional gig that day. Yeah, I mean, what we do there, we listen to, you know, who's our bosses in the office. We listen to those guys. We do what they say. As of right now, everything's good. It's business as usual, and you just really can't pay attention to that. You just kind of have to keep, you know, stepping forward, keep moving forward, and that's all we can do. You know, there's always going to be rumors. There's always going to be naysayers. There's always going to be people that, you know, want to try and pull anyone down or do whatever. So, something I've learned in life, and I think it translates over to me working as a professional in the wrestling business, is regardless of what happens, you always have to keep moving forward.
And in terms of possible opponents, if you could pick a name now who's in Impact Wrestling, who would it be?
EC3 is someone I would like to have a little bit of a feud with. Bram is another guy. You know, I know these guys, as I'd said before, where I think they're, you know, the up-and-coming stars. I feel like we could have great programs together. We could have great feuds together, and I could also get a lot out of them. But I think I could also help them in many different ways going forward. So those are two guys that really stand out to me. Guys that have been around before. I'd love to work with Bobby Roode, Bobby Lashley, Austin Aries. There's a lot of really talented guys there. A lot of guys I would love to work with. There's a lot of different potential combinations for Matt Hardy programs going forward, and have to last for many, many years, I'm sure.
And Matt, you're going to be a father for the first time. You must be looking forward to that.
Absolutely. This is my first child, and it's a boy. He's doing about 3 weeks, and it's really exciting. It's you know, my wife and I's first experience with being parents, and you know, we added on to our house. We built an addition. We built a nursery. We built a playroom for the child. We built us a little movie theater on our lower level. A whole bunch of different things. So it's really exciting, man. And you know, we're getting close to that point where in the next couple of weeks it could be any time. So my wife and I are thoroughly excited.
And Matt, finally, in terms of the next year, have you got any personal aims for yourself?
Well, you know, obviously I had said it many times, and I felt like I wanted this tag team title run of myself and Jeff not to be a nostalgia run. You know, not like, oh, here's the Hardy Boys, they're legends, but they can still have the titles. We wanted to be the current best team in the business, and that was our goal. So I would still like to do that, just depending on how Jeff's injury and rehabilitation comes and whatnot. If I'm going to be a singles wrestler, I got to admit, I would love to have an opportunity to wrestle for the TNA World Heavyweight title. I would definitely like to